The White Paper on Women's Development is taking centre stage in Parliament. The debate, which started at around 12:30 p.m, is still going on. Nearly 10 political office holders and close to 30 members of Parliament have weighed in so far. They've called for greater support for caregivers, stronger protection against violence, and a need for mindset shifts in a bid to advance gender equality in Singapore.
We must always see the progress of women as a journey without end, where every achievement is a foundation to aim for new heights. But where should the weight of our efforts now lie? Mr. Speaker, sir, I would like to advance a proposal for members to focus the debate on two key elements of the motion. First, how to further catalyse collective actions. And second, how to further promote equal partnership between women and men. In all likelihood, these two lines of effort are the most challenging. Yet they are also where we have the best hope to really move the needle for women.
Better protection for victims against the threat of family violence. This includes the option for them to move to a safe space, even though there's no evidence of actual violence. There will also be more initiatives to improve digital safety for women and girls. These were discussed in Parliament as part of the motion on women's development in Singapore. Tan Se-hui reports.
A woman fears for her safety, but there's no actual violence, and her husband denies that he's going to hit her. It's a common scenario, according to Home Affairs Minister K. Shanmugam, but the police cannot do anything for now. However, once measures recommended by a task force on family violence are implemented, the authorities will soon be able to respond by making an assessment if there's a threat of violence.
The wife may be offered the option of being moved to a safe space, depending on the facts, and it'll be her choice even if there is no criminal offense. She has the option that she can take the children and leave immediately, go into the safe space, then consider her next steps instead of facing the threat of violence. Could also include moving to a temporary shelter arrangement while working out longer-term interventions.
Mr. Shanmugam adds that this will allow parties to cool down and gives them an opportunity to reconcile. It's part of efforts to better protect women against violence and harm. Enhancing protection for those facing family violence is one of the action plans in the White Paper on Women's Development. Another is raising awareness and accessibility of resources for victims of online harms. New initiatives in the coming months include a workshop to equip youths with skills to support peers experiencing online harms. There is also a pilot to provide counselling to victims.
No society that respects and values women can stand for this, much less one like Singapore, where women have achieved so much freedom and confidence in real life. The digital safety gap must be closed.
Public education programs will also drive awareness about online harms and promote digital safety. So far, Sunlight Alliance for Action, a cross-sector group that tackles online dangers, has engaged more than 240 parents and youths to raise awareness about online harms.
While MPs are supportive of the enhanced measures, at least one MP says it's critical that law enforcement officers and social service agencies respond appropriately to cases of family violence.
If the first response is, for want of a better word, a softer one, there may be a perception among perpetrators that they can try to explain their actions away. As for victims, it is vital that they do not encounter responses that appear to decriminalize their experiences or worse, attribute blame to them for precipitating the violence by their own behavior. If they do encounter such dismissive attitudes, they are unlikely to report again.
Another MP highlights the need to not just protect victims, but also work with all family members, including the perpetrators.
The focus is on the impact of family violence on children and safe parenting. Perhaps we can consider a similar more visible, more accessible shelter, which will not only be empowering to survivors, it would also be, and it must be, welcoming to men who are perpetrators themselves but want to seek help.
Providing comprehensive community care for seniors and setting up peer networks. These are some of the plans that came up during parliamentary debate on the White Paper on Women's Development. They aim to ease the load on caregivers, in particular women, who tend to take up the bulk of such duties. Sherlyn Sia has details.
A long journey, like a marathon rather than a sprint. That's how the Parliamentary Secretary for Health framed the role of a caregiver. But whatever the caregiver's gender, the challenges of coping with such duties have to be addressed.
I'm encouraged to see many men share caregiving responsibilities at home. However, some stereotypes remain and women continue to take on a higher load. We need to provide more support to caregivers, both men and women alike, so that they can find the balance between caregiving and pursuing their aspirations.
To do that, our support structure will need to be enhanced, especially given our aging population. The Health Ministry is also reviewing respite care options. It's looking to make such care more accessible and affordable so that caregivers can take a break with peace of mind. The Home Caregiving Grant, which will be doubled to $400 for lower-income households, will help ease the financial strain of caring for loved ones at home. There's also a scheme providing payouts to older caregivers, as they've been busy caring for loved ones for most of their life and may not have much saved up. Meantime, community-based peer support networks are also in the pipeline. There's one for caregivers of persons with mental health conditions and for those taking care of persons with disabilities.
This will help reinforce ground support for this group of caregivers who are especially vulnerable to burnout.
There's also a community-led project involving caregivers, residents and other partners. It aims to explore and address barriers in accessing support services.
MPs have welcomed the measures to even the playing field when it comes to caregiving. But they also pushed for more concrete policies, such as those involving flexible job arrangements, so that working fathers too can play a more active role in child minding.
It is clear we need to legislate the right to work from home. To be clear, fathers taking on more childcare responsibility is a positive step for women's development. It spreads out the burden of childcare between the parents. It frees women from the stereotype that they will stay home to care for their children. Giving everyone the right to work from home will reshape attitudes of employers towards women.
Issues such as mum guilt, where mums feel guilty for having to leave their children with a carer while pursuing a career, and bearing a disproportionately larger share of the mental load, must be addressed. The task force must also consider how to support new fathers. It is not uncommon to hear that fathers often feel at a loss of how to support their wives.
At the heart of the government's pursuit of gender equality is the notion that mindsets need to change for the status quo to change. Health Minister Ong Ye Kung says society must play a part.
Some families even have a breadwinning mother and a stay-home father because this is the best play of the family's strength, unheard of in my growing up years. Then employers can decide, without the compulsion of law, that it makes better business sense to get rid of gender bias in hiring, in promotion, appointment to boards, and succession planning. Having said that, the push for greater equality between women and men, it is a nuanced and long-term exercise.
And just because it's a white paper for women doesn't mean men don't have a role. Social and Family Development Minister Masagos Zulkifli says it's not just about men supporting women's goals and aspirations, but also about instilling basic respect from a young age.
As men, we have a big part to play to encourage equal partnership. In our homes, as fathers, it's our responsibility to teach our sons what it means to respect all women, starting from a young age, instill in them the right values, and be role models ourselves through our actions, for them to grow to be gentlemen. Our children are social learners of the world, watching our every attitude, word, and action. They model after us and assimilate perceived social rules.
All MPs supported the call to advance the role of women here. Some pushed to go even further. Po Lee San called for even more women in STEM fields of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics.
Women's low representation in STEM careers has been described as a leaky pipeline. In our primary and secondary schools, girls often perform as well as the boys in science and mathematics. But as they progress to the tertiary level, fewer opt for STEM subjects, especially when it comes to engineering and computer science. Only 55% of the women who graduated with STEM degrees or diplomas pursue related careers, compared to 70% of men. We need to look into this.
Opposition MP Gerald Giam asked that workplaces recognise the skills and experience of caregivers. He says this can also open up employment opportunities and contribute much-needed manpower to the country's health and social care systems.
During the caregiving years, a caregiver gains important skills such as people management, negotiation, conflict resolution, and budgeting, as well as domain knowledge such as healthcare, food, and nutrition knowledge. Employers should consider caregiving experience as work experience, just like the civil service does for national service, with corresponding salary increments.
Communications and Information Minister Josephine Teo says the White Paper's debate's greatest contribution is in upholding the values we hold dear as a society. Bringing the marathon debate to a close, she identified equality, partnership and respect as the values underpinning women's development in Singapore.
It is clear from this debate that here in modern-day Singapore, we firmly reject such narrow-mindedness towards women. Instead, we reaffirm the value of equality between women and men. The tone of this debate has also upheld the value of partnership. Women should be regarded as equal partners of men, not only at work but at home. A third and essential value underpinning equality and partnership is that of mutual respect between men and women. As a society, we should respect women's place in it and honor their contributions. Equally, we respect men's choice and ability to support women in their capacities as fathers, husbands, brothers, bosses, colleagues, and friends. Like these,
Mrs. Teo says that at its core, the White Paper is about enabling women to be the best they can be so they can empower each other in turn.